So let's watch Zohran Mamdani for a minute here before we get Vasora on here, and let's watch him talking to Bernie, because Bernie's an old man, and Bernie is doing a lot of work out there that he doesn't have to, and I am so appreciative of this man right now. He's not running for president. He's just literally out there doing what he's been doing his whole goddamn life. He was an activist. He's worked for people, and now he's trying to tell people, like, don't fuck this up.
Senator,
Zohran, how are you?
so many people know you as a senator, as a presidential candidate, but you were also a mayor.
For 8 years, 4 terms.
8 years, 4 terms. And the time when you decided to run, Ronald Reagan had just won the presidency. He had even won Vermont. And yet there you were as a Democratic Socialist deciding to run for mayor. What made you make that decision?
I think Reagan was part of it. During that period, this is ancient history. We were dealing with serious economic problems. We had come off of the war in Vietnam some years before. And basically, it was an attempt to involve people in the political process to revitalize American democracy. And one of the accomplishments that I am most proud of in my life is between my first and second term, we came close to doubling voter turnout.
Wow.
How's that?
That's pretty incredible.
So people had given up on the political process, mostly lower income working class people started to get involved.
How did you do that?
Here's a radical idea, all right? I don't want anyone to listen. We paid attention to the needs of the people. I know. Oh, God. Radical idea. In other words, like many cities.
Radical idea!
The needs of working class and low-income communities had been ignored. So in Vermont, we get a lot of snow. So we made sure that snow removal took place in low-income working class neighborhoods.
So we're just talking about the potential of Burlington's waterfront. What do you think?
I think it has a lot of potential if there would be some improvements to it.
We developed programs for the children of those areas. We started a after-school program for the first time.
Yikes! This extremism is just too much to take right now, guys. These ideas are so far-fetched and extreme. I mean, this could be labeled Antifa, guys. This could be 100% the actions of a terrorizer organization.
Started a child care program. We started a teen center. We started a kids newspaper, a kids cable TV show. We started paying
that's going too far.
attention to the senior citizens living in low-income and working-class neighborhoods. Made sure that street repaving paid attention to those often neglected communities. Today, it's even worse than it was back then. People really feel government as a...
They look like they're having a nice glass of cider. Something tells me if I sit down with Bernie Sanders and I'm like, should we get a beer? He's like, I would like a... Oh, goddamn, I almost did Trump for him. Fuck, I can't stop doing Trump's voice. I would like a nice glass of cider.
Ignore them, and we've got to start paying attention to the needs of ordinary people.
He won his first election by just 10 votes, a genuine upset.
How insane is it that, like, Trump convinces these people that he loves them and that he's one of them and that he'll do well by them, and then he just fucks them right in the a-hole with the largest, blackest of cocks. And then this dude comes out and he's like, I want to take care of your children, your old people, everybody. We're going to make life good for everybody. And they're like, fuck you, commie.
An independent beating both the Democrats and the Republicans.
When we started our campaign, we were reading about your path when you ran for mayor. You were in your 30s. You were running against someone who had been in power for quite some time.
5 terms.
5 terms.
5 terms.
And he struggled to pronounce your last name.
Yep.
He called you
Saunders.
Saunders. What took you to the point where you were able to
We
take
ran,
all of it
if
on?
I must say so.
Please.
What we did back then is exactly what I'm trying to do politically today. You had a city at that time that was dominated by a conservative democratic establishment. And so many people were left out of the political process. So what did we do? We went to the low-income public housing. We talked to people. What are your needs here? We talked to women's groups. This is way back when.
Wait, you talk to the people? That's novel.
We did not really have an opportunity talked to people in the arts community, said, what can we do more? We had meetings with hundreds of parents.
Just as long as you didn't talk to musicians. That's where I draw my line, okay? You can talk to the art community, but you start talking to the fucking drummer or the lead guitarist. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, I was going to say don't clip that, but you can definitely clip that. A guitarist. I don't even know what I was saying anymore.
About what we can do to improve life for the kids.
It's been a long day.
A week before the election, we talked to the Burlington Patrolmen's Association, police union. And we said, look, you guys are workers. It's a difficult job being a cop. How can the city play a better role? And we talked about it.
You were sharing earlier that when you won the race, you then came into a city council.
Well,
sounds pretty communist. You know, talking to the police and asking them how he could help them do their jobs better. That's pretty communist, guys.
Still shudder. We had 13 people on the board of aldermen, and their strategy was very simple. They said it was a fluke. That was the word that they used. He somehow got in. We're going to make sure he doesn't accomplish anything. 2 years from now, people are going to come to their senses and re-elect all of us, right?
Sound familiar? That's exactly what they said with Obama, too. It's fine. He got Mitch McConnell said it was his job to make sure that Barack Obama does not achieve a single thing.
They made life miserable. They denied all of my appointments. So I had to work with people who had spent their whole life trying to defeat me. 1 year later, I worked so hard knocking on doors. We ran a slate of candidates. On election day, we won 3 seats, plus 2 gave me veto power, changed the whole.
This is why I wish that fucking Bernie would say, get wrecked. Get fucking wrecked.
Direction. And I think even our opponents said, that we better back off. What Bernie is doing is what people want him to do. So we did so many things which brought people together to help develop a sense of community. I'll give you an example. It's a beautiful city. And I said, look, I want to plant trees all over the city. Oh, it can't be done. Well,
we don't do that. we don't want trees. What are you doing, man? Look, we build office buildings that look like dog shit. That is American culture, okay? We don't want any fucking murals. We don't want any fancy paint on the fucking ground. Definitely no pride flags, okay? You want trees? You want trees?
we ended up getting money. And you know who planted hundreds of trees in the city of Burlington? The people.
Aww.
Saturday, all over the city of Burlington, people were out there planting their own trees. We started a jazz festival, which shut down the
Okay, see, that's, once again, that's where I draw the line. No jazz festivals.
entire city for free jazz all over the city. Still going today. Circuses. We just did a whole lot of things to bring people together culturally.
Excited that Ella Fitzgerald is here. It's certainly going to be a great few days. Thank you very much.
And where would you find the funding for this?
It was not a lot of money, to tell you the truth. You'd be surprised that small amounts of money can really go a long way, especially in a small city. One of the things in the arts community, and I found that when I ran for president, there's so many great musicians and artists out there. You give them an opportunity to perform, to be supportive of working class ideology, they are there with you. They're an untapped resource.
I'm Jane Driscoll, and this is 242 Main Presents, a production of the Mayor's Youth Office.
So you established a youth office?
Yep, which was headed up by a young woman named Jane O'Meara Driscoll, who 40 years later is still my wife. We got married in the process.
Aww.
So we not only got a youth office, I got a wife. In the low income areas, there wasn't even a little league. So we started a little league, and I was one of the coaches.
I think especially...
He coached Little League? This man is a superstar.
With the youth office, what comes to mind is that in New York City, we often tell kids, especially teenagers, what they shouldn't do. We spend very little time telling them what they should do.
We did, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. We established a teen center, and we said to the kids, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. You decide the music, you run it yourself under those conditions. Honest to God, I bump into people today who said, I remember that teen center, and we had musical group battles of the bands. You know, these kids were coming out, terrible music, loudest music you ever heard in your life.
Bernie was like, these fuckers, they brought Rancid. There's like some Pennywise and some No Effects. But you know what? They're having a good time and none of them were on drugs. Definitely, dude. None of them were on drugs, Bernie.
But the kids enjoyed it.
Bread and roses.
Exactly. Bread and roses. There was a lot of bread, but there was a lot of roses. And I think this created a sense of of joy in the community that hadn't existed before.
It can't just be struggle.
No, it cannot. People have a right to enjoy community.
It speaks to the fact that governance will require everything.
Yes.
And so often our ideas, our movement, they are thought of as if they could only exist in a purely legislative context. But this is this opportunity to show that there's the application of all of these ideas could transform the
By the way, guys, this guy's, remember, this guy is the guy that conservatives said is going to do 9/11 Part 2. Okay? Remember, this is extremism. And you know what fucking scares me about this? Is we watched that video from More Perfect Union the other day where Bernie Sanders sat with that Trump supporter and he was like, what did you think about me? And what do you think about me now? And she was like, I thought you were evil and I thought you were a communist and I thought you're a bad person. And now I'm really angry because I feel like they lied to me. And it's like, how many times are we going to do that? How many times are people going to be presented with somebody that has values that actually could make their lives better just to watch them just fall down these fucking rabbit holes of misinformation and just go and choose the worst possible candidates for them? It's really scary to see good people exist in this political atmosphere that goes so hardcore unnoticed, especially in the age of information. You don't need to go far. You can just put in the dude's name and you can watch all the videos you want. It's crazy.
lives of working people.
Absolutely.
The people of Burlington said very clearly that they want to do away with the regressive and unfair property tax, and they want some basic alternatives.
One of the
That's what I'm talking about. Can I get Bernie?
things that really struck me also about what you ran on was taking on a broken property tax system. Can you share a little bit more about what motivated you to pick that and how you see that as a progressive priority?
You got a tax system where a nurse or a truck driver may pay an effective tax rate higher than a billionaire. That's absurd. That's got to be changed. So we led the effort in breaking our dependence on the property tax because it is a regressive tax.
There are so many echoes with the struggles here in New York City, where you have a property tax system that so many have acknowledged for so long is broken, and yet there's the lack of political will to actually put forward a vision that would be fair. Wouldn't be easy, it wouldn't be simple, but it would be fair. And people lose their faith in government if you can't address the most glaring example of its failure.
That's right.
It's a sad day because the United States has chosen to go to war against the people of Nicaragua.
When you were the mayor of Burlington, you would also speak up against U.S. foreign policy.
I did.
That was far out of line with the values of most people across this country.
For the last 150 years or so, the United States government, in its wisdom, has decided that Latin America should be a colony of the United States government.
How would you balance leading the city and speaking up for...
First of all, you got to do your job. You're not running for president.
That's what I was going to say is he does it, he balances it because he's active, because he cares. Because, like I said, how many people right now in the Democratic Party are doing anything on the level that Bernie Sanders is? If you can name like two, that's a lot, right? Like right now, there are very few people in the Democratic Party that are doing half as much as Bernie Sanders. And yet he doesn't have a reason to really do it professionally. He's not going to run for president in 2028. He has no want to be the president of the United States at his age. If he wanted to, I'm sure he could seek citizenship somewhere else. He could retire from the Senate. He could move on and move away if he wanted to. But Bernie Sanders does things because Bernie Sanders cares. Because to Bernie Sanders not to do something would be a tragedy. And you can see that when he says, you know, as the mayor of New York, you're speaking, or I'm sorry, as the mayor of Vermont, you're speaking up against all these, you know, other things that are going on. Mayor of, Burlington, sorry. And he says, well, yeah, because it's balanced. You're doing your job, and then we'll let him talk. But it's so important that people understand that when your politicians choose to only do the things when the cameras are on, or only do things that can forward them professionally, those are not people that value you or your vote.
To the United States. You're running for mayor of New York City, a city which, like every other city in America, has significant problems. That is your job. But sometimes, as the leader of a great city, you do have a right to reflect the views of the people in your city on some of the important issues facing the country. So what I can tell you, having been all over this country, is that the American people do not want to continue to spend billions of dollars supporting Netanyahu's extremist government, which is wreaking havoc and destruction on the Palestinian people. You have a right to speak out on those issues. I think you do. And I think when you do, you are reflecting the views of the vast majority of the people in this city.
Very good. Okay. I think that we should see some of the people that are trying, so that way we do understand that we're not the only ones, right? Like, there's still people that care. When I started doing my podcast, for those of you guys that don't know, I have a podcast called Progressive Matters. And when I started doing that podcast, I sat down with politicians, a woman that was running for the Senate in North Dakota. I sat down with John Pedora, who was running for Congress in Colorado against Lauren Boebert. I spoke with a congressperson in North Carolina. But the reason that I started doing it was because I wanted to show people that there are politicians that do care. There are politicians that are real people. And I learned a lot of really interesting and important things, like Lindsay Prather of North Carolina, who's a educator, like, taught me that you should get paid. I think she got paid $13,000 a year to be a entry level, like, congressman for the state of North Carolina. So she had to drive every weekend 4 hours to Raleigh, and then drive 4 hours back because she had to be back in time to go to her job as an educator. And I learned a lot about the human aspect of politicians. And of course, I went on to also interview reporters from the New York Times, authors of many different books, lots of them that you can see behind me. And I just wanted to see the human side of people and see the human side of politicians. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.